Accusations from a Bush cabinet insider, former Treasury Secretary Paul O'Neill, who was saying, among other things, that Mr. Bush was determined to get Saddam Hussein from his first day in office. ABC's John Cochran reports.
Paul O'Neill says at Mr. Bush's first National Security Council meeting, O'Neill was surprised to find that getting Hussein was now the administration's focus. That much was already clear. The book quotes Mr. Bush 10 days into his presidency, allegedly telling top Pentagon officials to examine our military options.
This is a big surprise that Mr. Bush was thinking so ambitiously about using military force from early on.
The book also quotes Mr. Bush at that first NSC meeting saying he will change Bill Clinton's Mideast policy. We're going to correct the imbalances of the previous administration on the Mideast conflict. We're going to tilt it back toward Israel. The book says Mr. Bush decided the U.S. would no longer try to stop the bloodshed. Secretary of State Colin Powell warned a pullback by the United States would unleash Prime Minister Sharon and the Israeli army. Powell: the consequences could be dire, especially for the Palestinians. The president: maybe that's the best way to get things back in balance. Sometimes a show of strength by one side can really clarify things. Later, after a year and a half of continuing violence, Mr. Bush would change his mind and get involved in the Mideast peace process.
In the book, O'Neill also says that during cabinet meetings, President Bush was so disengaged that he was like a, quote, blind man in a room of deaf people. Today, the White House dismissed O'Neill's charges as an attempt to justify his own opinions.
And a former White House official says O'Neill is still angry because President Bush fired him.
The Secretary feels that his departure could have been handled more graciously, but I do think he is bitter about it, and I think that's what's motivating the book. I don't think bitterness enhances objectivity, however.
Bitter or not, O'Neill insists he is just trying to tell the truth about the Bush White House. John Cochran, ABC News, Washington.